You got to get around other people who have something more.
That's huge.
You got to get around people who do something more, who have something more. If you want a good marriage, get around people who have a great marriage. If you want to be a good dad, get around people who are great dads. If you want to be great parents, like get around other great parents, see what they do. If you want to be good with money or learn how to make money, get around people who know how to make money. Get around people who know how to not just make money, but invest money, spend wisely. You know, they're astute. Like, don't be afraid to move into circles where you're uncomfortable, because it's when you become uncomfortable in uncommon circles that you learn and level up.
Welcome back to another episode of the Life Insurance Academy podcast. Today, we are dropping the ball. It is New Year's Day. I got my man Roger Short here. And man, this is 2025 right here. 2025
episode. And if you are joining us on the first day of 2025, you are a special viewer. You are a special Life Insurance Academy follower. We appreciate you, but we didn't want to let you down. Because we deliver, we show up and deliver every day, Christmas Day, New Year's Day, whatever day, and we're going to deliver the content. We haven't missed one yet.
Nope.
What year are we? We got Adam now. Adam, we're coming up on your 3-year anniversary now. 3 years this month, right? This month, right? It's like the 17th or something like that. Did I get the date? Look at that. I knew the date he started 3 years ago. And we've been rocking this thing with you guys here on YouTube. And for those of you who are listening on our audio podcast, you've been with us for 5 years. So we appreciate you. So we're going to give you some good stuff here to start the year.
And guys, New Year's is about resolutions. It's about a fresh start. It's about doing something extra special that we've never done before, hit a height that we've never hit before, and maybe stretch our confidence, stretch everything about us to hit another level. And if you don't have a resolution yet, this podcast is going to help you, because we're going to give you probably the single most important piece of content that anchors to your whole soul to be successful. And this is the pursuit of every happiness you want. And I'm really excited to talk about this today with you, Raj.
Yeah. When I was in Miami recently speaking at an event with Cody Askins and the 8% Roadshow, there was about 300 people in the room. And, we were nearing the end of the year, and I was inspired because, when I think back, if you watched our previous episode on Christmas Day, we were talking about reflecting, reassessing, learning lessons and taking action. And I was reflecting, I was thinking, I was reassessing, I was reframing, I was taking action. And I thought about where my life has come just in the few short years I've been in the industry. I started in late 2011 and when I got my license. We started our first agency in 2014, and you and I have been together now for 10 years.
Yeah.
And it's gone by like that.
It's really crazy. And there's been a lot of different iterations, and everything has changed so much, which is really cool.
Yeah. But when we think back, I still say, you've heard me say this so many times, I feel like we're still in the best kept secret in America, this industry of insurance and financial services. But, when I was young, and I want you to take a moment and think about your life, like when you were young, or when you were in that moment of you're trying to figure out what you want your life to be like. I always had these ideas, these dreams of things that I wanted to accomplish. I just didn't know how I was going to go about doing it. And I felt I was in this, relentless pursuit of something, a better way to live, a better life for me and my family. And I wanted something better. And when I found this business, this insurance business, man, it became something so special and cool, because I thought this could be the vehicle to accomplish that.
Right.
And I want to let you know, if you're watching today or you're watching this episode, I don't care what time of the year it is. I don't care if it's the 4th of July when you're seeing this one. I want to let you know, you literally have got your hands on a life-changing business. And so I want you to think about what you want your life to be like. And in that talk, I was talking about the pursuit of your life.
Yeah.
And I guess the big question I asked everybody is, what life do you want?
Yeah. And I think number one, I don't want to overwhelm anybody now, okay? Because this could be a heavy episode, especially if you're coming from, let's say, another industry, maybe another opportunity within the industry, or maybe you're coming out of college as I did, and you're looking for something more than the, startup job that pays $30,000-$40,000, but they need 2 years of experience right off the bat.
Yeah.
And regardless of where you're coming from, some of this can be maybe not real sure of where they are. But to keep things simple, I know you kind of explained this concept of these 3 Ps. Can you give us a little teaser of what these 3 Ps are?
Yeah, I mean, when I'm thinking about the pursuit of my life and what I want, you're basically picturing your life, like you're imagining, and right, and our imagination starts to run. Like when you got in the business 10 years ago, the picture you saw then is different than what you see now. Ish. Okay.
And this goes to my next question. So the first P is picturing, right? Picturing, which is another fancy way for a vision of your life, the dream of your life.
You got to have a clear picture, is my point.
And
what does that picture look like?
Here's the tough part, Roger. Depending on where an agent comes from, how clear does it have to be? Because I'm assuming it gets more clear as you continue to go on and pursue that. But is it okay if it's not crystal clear or 4K right off the bat?
Yeah, sometimes you're in that low def TV. Sometimes it looks like you're looking at an Etch-a-Sketch. For those of you who know what an Etch-a-Sketch is, and sometimes it's right after you shook it up and part of the picture is gone, and you gotta twist the little knobs to get it back to where it is. So for those of you who maybe got a retro GIF, those were new when I was a kid, right? So, and now we're looking at, high def 4K TVs. It doesn't have to be high def when you first start, but you have to have a picture of what you want that life to be like. You got to know what it is that you're fighting for. And for me, I was fighting for something better. I was fighting for time with my family. I was fighting for a family. I was fighting for creating new experiences with my family that I didn't have when I was a kid. I realized after I grew up that we were essentially poor. When I was growing up, we didn't have a lot of money. My mom made like a little bit go a long way. She cooked at home. She literally washed her clothes and put it on a clothesline. I mean, we did all the things, and I just thought that was normal as a kid. And as you grow up and you experience the world, you start to want things different for your kids and the people around you than what you had. We're always trying to do better, right? For ours coming after us. And so I was in pursuit of this life, and I had to have a clear picture. I wanted to create experiences with people. I wanted to work with people that I loved. I wanted to do things with others. I wanted to create opportunities for other people. I wanted to make good money. I wanted to foster good values. I wanted to be a leader in whatever I did. Like I saw myself rising. I saw a speaker one time on stage. I saw Les Brown speak at an event in Georgia like years ago. And he stood in front of 80,000 people and gave like one of the most life-changing speeches, "It's not over until I win," that I've ever heard. And at that point in my life, in my late 20s, I thought maybe one day I could step on a stage and tell a story and move people the way he did. Yeah. And I started to get inspired for a life that I wanted. And if you're watching this episode today and you're just trying to figure out how to do life insurance, I want you to step back for a minute and say, what is the bigger picture of what I want? Because as soon as you get that picture of what you want, you then start to realize, I now have to formulate a plan. Your mind will start to figure out a path to get to the thing that you want. Even if it's fuzzy, even if you're trying to dial in the rabbit ears on an old black and white TV. I know those don't exist anymore, but literally that's what they had to do back then and dial it in. It's like those old radio stations when on the old movies, when you see them dialing in and trying to dial it in so it's clear and it's not fuzzy. You need to literally try to dial that in so you can see what you want. Chris has always said this, say what you see so you can see what you say. Yeah. And it was something that someone said to him years ago and it stuck out to him, like, what is it that you see for your life? And start saying it out loud, and you will then start looking to formulate that plan for your life. Are you ready to launch your insurance career? Excel Solutions is your go-to leader in life, accident, and health insurance pre-license training. Their cutting-edge e-learning platform is packed with rich content. Think interactive assessments, engaging videos, and customized learning paths, all tailored to your learning style. Being students ourselves, we've trusted Excel now for years to deliver top-notch training, offering high pass rates. Their streamlined prep review courses and the exam simulator are really your secret weapons to nailing the state exam the very first time. Now, you thought it couldn't get any better. Well, it just did. Life Insurance Academy listeners, you receive an epic 50% discount, reducing the regular course fee from $199 to only $99. So, all you have to do is use partner code LIA at liapodcast.org/Excel. Now, Excel spells XCEL. So don't think about it any longer. Dive headfirst into your insurance career with Excel Solutions' premier pre-license training with that exclusive 50% discount just for you. Get the code, get licensed, and excel in your insurance career.
2 questions for you. Number one, at what point or what event, what happened for you to start thinking, I want more than what I currently have, or I want something different for my family when I start my family?
I think it's when I saw my own family struggle, I think it's when I had to figure out my way to college on my own, and my parents didn't really have the perspective of how to do that. They never went to college. It wasn't a big priority for them to do that, and I was the only one in my family to do that. Had to figure that out on my own. Had to figure out how to get a car for the first time on my own.
Yeah.
And I got on I remember getting on a plane young. My parents did take me on a trip one time from the east coast of Canada where we lived, and we flew to Toronto where my sister lived, my oldest sister. And I remember getting on a plane for the first time, Zach. Like, this is a kid. I'm 5 or 6 years old. Vivid memory. And I got to sit in the window seat. You remember the first time you ever got on a plane and you sat in the window seat and you looked out and you thought, as you were going up, how tiny the houses got and how tiny the buildings got? And I thought, wow, the world looks completely different from up here. And it was like mind blowing the first time you experienced that.
Yeah.
And then as we were landing, coming in, and I saw, the giant CN Tower in Toronto, which is one of the tallest buildings in the world. And I saw that so small, so far away. And then it kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then we flew in over this massive city. I didn't know cities could be that big. I never saw a city that big in my life. And it's just like the world kind of opened up. So we had struggles. And then I also saw that there was more.
Exposure.
And I started to get exposed to different things. And I thought, I can go after that. I can start to create some opportunities where we can realize some of those things for me. And maybe I can have a better life.
So a question, as far as, many of our listeners are brand new, even if they did struggle, then maybe they didn't know they struggle, or maybe they come from where they didn't really struggle that much, but maybe they are wanting more. If they're looking for advice on how to craft their vision or their picture, or to maybe seek out more for their life or have more of exposure, where do you think they could start? What would be a good avenue to start doing that?
You got to get around other people who have something more.
That's huge.
You got to get around people who do something more, who have something more. If you want a good marriage, get around people who have a great marriage. If you want to be a good dad, get around people who are great dads. If you want to be great parents, get around other great parents, see what they do. If you want to be good with money or learn how to make money, get around people who know how to make money. Get around people who know how to not just make money, but invest money, spend wisely. They're astute. Don't be afraid to move into circles where you're uncomfortable, because it's when you become uncomfortable in uncommon circles that you learn and level up. You have to put yourself in environments. And sometimes it's very awkward. You don't have to, and here's one thing I will say. Don't show up and try to impress people with the things you don't know, or you're trying to sound like you do know stuff. Just show up in the room and be quiet and listen. And just be present. You learn so much.
Yeah.
You have to get around other people.
By the way, the first time I was on an airplane, there was no way I had the privilege of sitting by the window.
Why is that? Your brother beat you out of it?
Actually, my uncle took me the first time. And so I've never been on an airplane with my brother ever, actually.
Maybe you'll realize that dream this year.
I don't know if he's ever been on an airplane.
Isn't that crazy?
It is.
Oh my gosh!
And I mean, we're on it all the time now. But I remember we were going to Orlando, and I feel like I'm leaning over 10 people just to try to get a peek out the window.
Yeah,
but it's funny there.
Isn't it crazy how little things like that? Can you remember the first time you got on a plane, Adam?
Prop plane.
A prop plane. Yeah. Why would you get on that as your first plane?
Wow.
My dad's buddy's a
Wow.
No.
Corporate pilot in a prop plane. That's your first
Hope your
experience.
dad
That'd be
had some,
cool.
Hope your dad had some life insurance.
You
on
never forgot that, did you?
There's a great story we'll get into off.
Yeah, he never forgot that. So
That's awesome. So I understand this pursuit, and that picture is so important. And I agree when I say like my picture was, I had a vision. I still have the vision of exactly what my house and land looked like. Obviously today it's clear, but back then it wasn't. I knew I wanted a certain amount of kids, a certain size family. I knew what my passions were. And even through stages of my life, it was confusing to me because it didn't seem that my picture was becoming reality. And it's easy to get discouraged or question your vision or your purpose in that. But I have learned through experiences that it's not necessarily my timing, but that picture is becoming more clear and it's becoming a reality, which is super, super cool.
I remember the first time I ran a marathon. Okay. I took three guys from here in Louisville and I took them to Toronto to run the Toronto Waterfront City Marathon.
You must have been heavy on their backs.
They were heavy on mine. Anyway, we got to Toronto and I wanted to run the marathon before I was 40. And, but what happened was I started getting around with some guys at our church that were in a running club and I just started running with them and it turned out to be 3 miles. And then they said, hey, do you want to run this city race? How far is that? 6 miles. And we weren't running for time like to win it. We were just doing it to do it. And then we'd go have coffee and breakfast after and talk. And it was a cool thing to do. And you get up early in the morning when it's still frosty in like February and you got a beanie on and, track pants and gloves and you're running and then you go out for a coffee after. So it kind of became this cool thing and running through the city parks. It's kind of cool. And then all of a sudden it was like, hey, do you guys want to run the Papa John's 10 miler? And at the time we had a Papa John's 10 miler race. It was about 2 or 3 weeks before the Kentucky Derby Festival.
I used to work.
And so then I ran that. And then someone said, hey, let's do the Derby half marathon, the Kentucky Derby half marathon. It's one of the biggest races in the country. Let's do that. And I was like, oh, okay, well, let's do that. And so I went and watched one and I thought we could do that. And then we trained for that and we started doing that. Like I got around other people who were doing things. And then that led me to saying, hey, if I can do that, I can do a marathon.
Yeah.
Like I got to check it off the box. I got to do that so I can say, I know I can do hard things. Yeah. But I got exposed to it by taking little baby steps and around other people who were doing it. So what do you want in your life? Like, it's funny because when I was in Miami in that speech and that talk that I gave called The Pursuit, I shared pictures of my family. Because when I'm talking about the picture, now I have pictures in the rearview mirror. And I still have new pictures out here in the front, out of the windshield that I haven't realized yet. So there's ones back here I can look to, and there's ones up here that I haven't achieved yet. And when I look back at the pictures, man, I have a picture of you holding Ashlyn when Ashlyn was 5 weeks old.
I was wearing a Kentucky shirt.
And you were in junior high.
Maybe. It might have been 6th grade.
Might have been 6th grade, yeah.
5th or 6th grade.
Yeah, and literally Ashlyn was 5 weeks old.
Yeah.
And Ashlyn was in here having lunch with us yesterday, and she's 19. Now she's a sophomore in college.
I'm getting old.
Like when I look back, I have good pictures in my past of things that I've accomplished and people I've done it with. And we were at a beach down in Gulf Shores, Alabama at that time on spring break vacation. And so like I have good pictures in my past. I have pictures of Rosemary and I in Munich, Germany, and Rome, or in Paris, France, or my daughter and I on the top of Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa. Like these were things that were in the front in the windshield that I hadn't accomplished yet. And through my life and just keeping that picture very clear and putting a good plan in place, which we're getting to, I was able to realize them. And now they're back here and I can look back and say, if I've done these, what more is possible? Right. What else is possible? So like, what are some of the things that you've done that you've loved? Look in your past and realize if you can do those things, what else can you have? What else can you do? And that drove me in business to succeed.
Absolutely. And I love that. So, I mean, first and foremost, guys, you need to clearly identify your picture, figure out what your passion is, what your pursuit, what you want your life to be. Anything is absolutely possible. There's no limits. There's no obstacle that can knock you down and out of your race. And continue to work on bringing clarity and details to that picture. And the more details, the more clarity, the more it becomes reality and feels lifelike until it is lifelike.
It gives life. It gives energy. It gives energy. When you're in pursuit of something, it gives you energy.
100%, which brings us right into our next thought. And the whole time you're talking about running, I'm thinking about the next P of plan, because I've done a lot of basketball conditioning. There's no way I'm running for sport anymore. That's not happening to me. I did work the Papa John's 10K for many years. I'd get up at 4 a.m. I'd be the one tossing the waters to you guys while you're running, and people.
That was my fastest race,
shaking
by the
things
way.
out of people's shorts.
That was my fastest race, Adam. My fastest one.
It's pretty
I ran
cool.
a 7:12 pace for 10 miles.
But your picture's no good without a plan.
No. I say that the picture actually helps you find the plan, because when you have a picture that's very clear, your mind has power. Your mind has power. It will find the path for you to realize that picture.
Yep.
And if you're around good people, you can generally formulate a good plan. So it requires a great plan. Now, when I found this business, Zach, I was transitioning out of my other company. I was in pursuit of those pictures in my life. I already started one company, and then I found this, and we went out and went and door knocked for 2 days. I've told the story on here tons of times. And at the end of those 2 days, I sat back and assessed and said, Fred, the guy who showed me this business first, I called him up and asked him if I could ride around with him for 2 days. And at the end of 2 days, he had written like $4,300 in production in just 2 days. And I thought, man, this is amazing. Like, we could do something with this. And I started to investigate, and I started to find that there was a niche in insurance sales called final expense. Mm-hmm. Now, as I started to explore, I realized there's so many other things, right? There's IULs, there's traditional life, there's companies like Northwestern Mutual. I could become a financial advisor. Like, all of these things started coming into the purview when I was trying to formulate this next step for my life. But I found this thing called final expense. It was simple. It was high in demand. 10,000 people turning 65 every day. And we're right at the peak of that right now, by the way. It's a in-demand market. It's not going away. It's recession-proof. And it's simple. And you just need 2 or 3 carriers and a life insurance license. And if you have a system, you can scale it. And I saw something and I thought, this is it. And so what I did was I dove into that plan, and I stayed very specific. I didn't try to become all things insurance. I think a lot of us fail. I think maybe one of the reasons why you may be struggling right now is because you may be trying to do too much in the space. I encourage you, and we encourage you, to narrow that focus and to get really, really good at one thing. When we think about doctors, Zach, who gets paid the most, the general practitioner or the specialist?
Specialist.
The specialist.
The pinky doctor.
Yeah.
Man.
Or, well, there's lots of doctors that begin with P, plastic surgeon, proctologist. I don't want to be the last one. So yeah, like, there's all kinds of specialists, but they get paid the most, right? They get paid the most. So focus in on a specialty. For me, it was final expense. I thought, I can learn this, I can teach it, and I can scale it. So I didn't try to do everything else. I was like, let's get good at one thing. And when I introduced the business to you, it was one concept, one plan, one type of lead, 2 or 3 carriers.
Yep.
And now look where we are.
Yep. And it's sticking to the plan.
Yeah. Create the plan and work the plan. And if you got a plan and you're in a good community, you can make it. Because you're focused in, you're dialed in. I would say this too, when it comes to the plan. A lot of us, Zach, and I know this is one of Chris's stories that he talks about all the time. We talk about the concept of the picture and the mirror. So people tell us that this is what they want in their life, and we hold up that picture to them, back to them. This is the picture for your life.
This is what you say
This is what you say you want. But then our job as coaches, and if you've got good people around you and mentors and people who will be honest with you and move you forward, they're not just going to hold up the picture. What are they going to do? They're going to hold up that second one.
Yeah.
The mirror.
They're going to hold up the mirror, and this is what your actions are telling us you want.
Yeah, the mirror.
It's very different.
And that mirror is, am I doing the things that I need to do? Am I taking the proper steps to actually fulfill the things that are in the picture?
Yeah.
Am I interrogating my own reality toward what I say I want?
Yeah, and one thing's really cool about this, and these 3 Ps are so important, and is yes, we can have a picture, yes, we can have a plan, but we're actually preparing, which is not one of the Ps, we're preparing for resistance. We're preparing for obstacles. We're preparing for trials and tribulations and life happening, right, to us, because in some of us our picture may be faded. Our picture may go out of Zoom simply because maybe we had an obstacle before. Maybe we weren't able to overcome it. Maybe our plan wasn't strong enough to take us where we want to go. And so this P is probably another P is one of the most important, and it's that perseverance side of this, because you can have a picture, you can have a plan, but if you don't have perseverance and you're not expecting and preparing for that obstacle, your picture will always be fuzzy.
I say the pursuit of your life requires relentless perseverance. Relentless perseverance. The process of becoming the person who you want to become, the process of becoming and building the life that you want to live is going to get hard. It's going to get hard. In fact, I always say that the life you want is on the other side. The life you want is on the other side of adversity and obstacles. It's on the other side of them. You can't go around them. You can't avoid them. You have to go through them. And when you go through them, you build the calluses, you build the experience, you build the perspective of what it takes to actually overcome and succeed, and it helps you level up. It's doing hard things that actually helps you level up. You have to be willing to persevere. It's going to get hard. How do you win when things get hard? How do you win? We talk about how winning happens. There's two ways, right? Really one way. Winning happens in community, but failure happens in isolation. So if you're in a good community, and that's what we've created here, Zach, at the Life Insurance Academy with our coaching programs, our community of agents that we work with around the country, is a community of people that stand with each other and will help you persevere when you get weak.
Yeah, and I'll tell you one thing. I'm going to go ahead and throw a fourth P on here.
Huh?
Yeah, I'm going to throw a fourth P on here. And they're
calling an audible.
I'm calling an audible at the end because
it's a Hail Mary.
And the fourth P is passion.
Passion. And
you can hear it. I mean, your mic levels are going through the roof. It is coming through.
Up the mic.
Whoever's listening to this in their car, their speedometer's slightly over the speed limit. Like everybody's heart's beating a little bit faster. Their blood is boiling, and it's not because of a drink or two they had last night when the ball dropped. It's because when you have the picture and it's clear, you have the plan in front of you that you're finding a way to execute, which causes the perseverance. The result in all of that is passion. And if you don't have passion for what you do, if you don't have passion for what you're pursuing or in charge of, then one of your other three Ps needs a little bit of work.
Yes.
Because you may have a picture, but if your plan's not in place, then you don't think it's possible, and you're not going to persevere through going through it. So
I love the P word. You're dropping them in everywhere here.
It's everything I'm doing, right? But just hearing your passion, I'm over here about to do a 360 in this bar stool, which we need new ones, by the way. But man, like seriously, passion is the result of a proper three Ps. And if anybody doesn't feel your heart, feel your passion, feel your vision, feel what you've accomplished, but yet feels that you're not fulfilled in what you're doing in that pursuit, they have to know that. And this is an easy self-test. Guys, go through this with yourself, diagnose yourself, figure out your picture. How clear can you get it? Figure out your plan. Does it align with your picture? And then how bad do you want it? Measure your perseverance. And if you're not passionate about this, if you're not fighting for this, if you have somebody that says you're not going to get it and you're not standing up for yourself, then we need to realign and refigure what this is and what's possible.
And you need to get in the right community where people are going to speak to you about what is possible, about the picture that is possible for your life. Get connected to a community that does that for you, and be vulnerable enough to put yourself in relationships where you can become accountable and transparent, so that when you're slacking, somebody can hold up the mirror so you can see, hey, am I being true to the picture in the mirror? Because you need those people in your life. I have those people in my life. Zach has those people in his life. We do it for each other. This is what this community is all about. One of the pictures that I love, Zach, are the pictures that we take at our boot camps. When there's new people in the hunt for the very first time. We got like 25 people in a room. We got 26 people, 27, whatever. And we got them in like rows of 8 or 9, 3 wide, all the way back, monitors, headsets, things are going. And all of a sudden it's quiet when it first starts. But then as the phone calls start to pick up and conversations start to happen, you hear some people getting really loud and passionate because they're starting to get into the flow, and the energy starts to rise in the room, and you can see what's going on. And I always go around and snap pictures of those people having their first breakthrough, or writing their first app, or ringing the bell and writing their first client's name on the board and writing the premium on the board.
Yep.
Like, this is people in the pursuit of something, and they're in the process of getting it.
Yep.
They're putting the plan in action. They're going to have hard times, but they put themselves in a community to help them win. I love those pictures. And one of my slides that I love is just faces of people that I've seen come through those. And I know who's had success, and I know they had breakthrough weeks. And we can tell story after story after story of how this business has changed their life. This is a vehicle. This business of life insurance sales is a vehicle, and it exists in the plan part of this pursuit. The picture, the plan, and then the perseverance. This vehicle of insurance is just part of the plan. You have to do the rest. What a great way to kick off the new year, man. Happy New Year,
Happy
everybody.
New Year, ready to roll. And I say we are very pleased that you guys have followed us. You like our stuff, you share our stuff. And if you haven't, I want you to push that subscribe button if you feel our passion or if we're able to help you in any way, because it allows us to continue to create this content, allows us to continue to help you guys one agent at a time, one app at a time. We're always here for you guys.
Happy New Year. We'll see you on the next episode of the Life Insurance Academy podcast.